We've been trying to talk about how media covers stories of sexual assault, and specifically the case of Columbia University student Emma Sulkowicz. But this week, the media focus on that case was just as much on her fellow Columbia student, the one who Emma says allegedly raped her. That man, Paul Nungesser, entered the media spotlight himself through a lengthy piece in an online publication, The Daily Beast. He shared Facebook messages between himself and Emma with the writer of the Daily Beast piece in an article proclaiming that he faced a harsh trial by media. The writer behind that Daily Beast story is Cathy Young, who joins us now. So, Cathy, how did you come to report on this story?
Right. Well, I've been interested actually in the story for a while. I'm interested in the topic of campus sexual assault. I think sexual assault is a very serious issue. I don't think anyone's questioning that. I do think there has been in recent years a kind of rush to judgment, a kind of tendency to say that accusation equals guilt, a tendency to downplay due process in campus sexual assault cases. And I have written on that topic before. And in this case, I have been following this. I actually, when I first read the account of the case in the New York Times, it looked to me like this was a genuine miscarriage of justice. They mentioned that there were 3 accusations against this guy. When I started reading up on it, it started looking a little more murky to me. And eventually, well, just to make a long story short, the parents of this young man actually sent me an email after reading one of my other stories asking if I was interested in it.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. And I hear you about the ways in which a story can become murky. I guess what's distressing to me is the things that you present in the article that make the story murky. So, for example, you present Facebook messages that Paul made public between him and Emma, and that you characterize as flirty and chatty. So I just want to show some of the exchanges so that people know what we're talking about here. There's one Facebook message where she says, LOL, yes, I feel like we need to have some real time where we can talk about life and things because we really haven't had Paul and Emma chill. Another one that says, now let's take a look. I mean, that says, you know, I'm sorry. What I want to do now is point out that Emma then responded to this, and she says that I haven't faced him since he assaulted me. I didn't want to talk with him about what happened. I tried to say this in a friendly tone so that he doesn't get scared. I don't want him to avoid the conversation. So I think there are a lot of things that can make a story murky. I don't think, right, that characterizing as flirty and chatty conversations between an alleged victim and her assailant are things that make a story about sexual assault murky.
Well, I will tell you that if any prosecutor withheld messages like these from the defense in a rape case, they would be disbarred, because this would be, in any criminal case, this would be considered extremely probative. This would be considered extremely relevant to guilt or innocence.
So I'm not even claiming that that's not. I'm not even claiming that's not true as a legal matter. I'm asking about something different. So when we look, for example, at the reality of Janae Rice and Ray Rice, we know for certain that Ray Rice hit his fiance, and then we know that she sat next to him in a friendly and flirty manner and married him. So the idea that someone who is victimized by someone who they have an ongoing relationship with wouldn't then continue to have that ongoing relationship is not evidence against that.
It's a little different when, first of all, when you're in a marriage, because I think.
But they weren't in a marriage at that point.
They were in a friendship and they were in a group.
They were engaged. Ray and Janae Rice were engaged.
Emma and Paul were in a social group together where they would have to continue seeing each other, where she would have to continue to manage the relationship and or face issues within her existing social circle. So I don't understand why it's weird that she would want to maintain polite relations, especially before confronting him.
This goes a little beyond polite.
But
I think the tone of these goes beyond polite.
But what is the appropriate behavior for a rape victim?
Well, first of all,
after the assault
I'm not saying that there is.
I'm just asking what you suspect it would be, not like what do you think it would be.
Well, it seems to me that, again, we're not talking about simply, there are different degrees of sexual assault. There is a situation where maybe somebody doesn't stop when the person says no. This is one thing.
So that for me,
she's alleging that he not only raped her, but actually strangled her within an inch. I mean, she says that she was
but let me suggest, I want to pause for a minute because something got said on my air. Whoa, I'm going to pause for a moment because something got said on my air that I just want to address. And that is the idea that there are different degrees of sexual assault,
Right.
and that one of the lesser versions might be that you're engaged in consensual sexual activity, and then it goes to a thing, and you don't consent to that, and that is somehow a different kind. And I want to be really, like, I can't describe how much I want to be careful in responding to that. That I understand that your point is that there is complexity in a moment when there is initial consent, but consent has to be given throughout the process. So I actually don't see it as a separate degree. Like my willingness to have vaginal sex with you is not the same as my willingness to have anal sex with you.
I totally agree. That was my point. You didn't really let me finish my point. What I was saying is that in this case, she's alleging not simply that something non-consensual happened, but that there was also extreme violence. I mean, the behavior that she's describing.
Something non-consensual happening to you sexually is extreme violence.
She's describing not simply non-consensual behavior. She's describing being hit on the face. She's
like Janae Rice was before she sat next to her husband. I mean, I'm just saying people respond.
Of course. And you know what? If this had been a different kind of contact, where there was evidence, for instance, that he apologized and said, I was, I got carried away the other night. There are in most domestically violent relationships. There is this cycle of violence followed by, a show of repentance. I mean, I'm certainly not saying that,
That's not
it
necessarily
is
the
normal.
case in sexual assault. So just to,
But
I mean,
in this case, we're talking also about allegations of extreme physical violence.
Of which he was cleared. So for me, what I don't understand,
but
Cathy,
if
can
this
I ask you a
happened,
question?
yeah,
I don't
right.
understand what you're asking for here. Emma created an art piece from her
Okay.
perspective. She's telling the story from her perspective. She's critiquing the Columbia institutions.
Okay.
What are you asking her to do? Are you asking her to stop telling her story, to shut up? Because that does not sound very civil libertarian to me.
I'm asking people to realize that there is a different side to the story. I mean, I'm a little flabbergasted here because you're saying that he was cleared of this, but then you're also saying that we should take it as a fact that this happened.
No, I think we have to take it as a fact that she.
Story.
Yes. Thank you to Cathy Young. We will undoubtedly continue this conversation when we come back. The law enforcement officer helping to reopen years-old sexual assault cases, an MSNBC original report.